Islam, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, make a statement.
Under the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land,
Yes.
and the other courts,
This is what occurs. The law, and there is one Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court from time to time may designate an inferior court with delegated authority to act on the sovereign powers of the United States to execute law relative to the citizens. Without that delegated authority, they are unlawful. They're a fraud. Being that they have no jurisdiction anyway, however, they trick you into giving them jurisdiction. Starting with you not waiving, with you waiving your rights, not knowing that they're illegal. And not commanding that they uphold their obligation to the Constitution. And the other violation is by you claiming to be Negro, black, and colored and using their name, which gives them the jurisdiction anyway, no matter what the court.
so if I appear under my name,
What name?
the name that I have now,
No, what, is that you said my name. No, my is possessive. What is your name?
Tommy Anderson L.
Say it again. Say it again.
Tommy Anderson L.
Then you have a right to constitutional law. And even though you're still using European's name, you're still within governmental fold. Now you can still hold him to his obligation.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're not arguing sovereignty right now. You're just arguing his obligation.
Okay. Following
You have standing at law. You have standing at law. You got an eel? You got standing at law. Now, but what you want to do is qualify for the record. And you want to hold him to his obligation contractually. Now you want to ask them to present into evidence whatever contractor's issues are before the court. Without a contract, there ain't no law, not on his part.
and in traffic court.
Traffic, listen to this, Moors, and those who got pens, write this down. A ticket is a suit. And traffic court is listed under criminal court. But traffic is a civil matter. It starts off with a violation. And since it's listed as a criminal matter, you have a right to trial by jury. Now, when they gave you that ticket and you go into a courtroom, did somebody present you before you entered in that courtroom with indictment papers? Well, if you don't have indictment papers, that ticket is not prosecutable. Are you following me? Because it's a suit. And so if it's a suit, someone's claiming a reclamation of right against you for a violation of contract. And so if you violated a contract, then you must be indicted. Do they give you indictment papers when they give you tickets? No. Oh. Did you ever see a jury when you go to traffic court? No. Then that's a fraudulent court. Are you clear on that? So if you go into court for a ticket, since a ticket is a suit, you have a right to contest the suit. And don't call it a ticket. Call it a suit for the record. Say, for the record, your corporation has instituted a suit against me in the name of ticket Vibo Fetcher 135 Municipal Court guys here. And then you say, well, who's here suing me? The injured party, present yourself for the record, because I don't know. I ain't injured nobody.
So, Brother Todd, if we get a traffic ticket, say like a parking ticket or something, should we request?
See, this is what you must understand. And back up. We're not arguing qualifying anything. You must understand that a traffic ticket is a suit. They're suing you.
Right.
Don't call a ticket.
Okay.
Just saying it a ticket or summons is really hiding its purpose, its meaning, its function. Its function is you're being sued by an artificial corporation for driving in an artificial corporation, not on the land.
So if I find
Back up.
on my ticket,
Back up. Back up. If you understand what I'm saying to you, you will answer your own question. This is the corporate state. 1944. Somebody, let's start a corporation, Sears and Roebuck. 1944. You're driving in Sears and Roebuck, and we're going to charge you with parking in Sears and Roebuck. And of course, you $5.50 in course of court. You say, oh man, I only got one job. Says, can you loan me $5? And wait a minute, Judge, excuse me. And well, you got $5. And we start agreeing to that. You don't agree to that. Excuse me. Excuse me. Now, let me see. The state of New Jersey was established in 1944. This land was always here. So they ain't the land. It's a private corporation. Now, can a private and artificial corporation be injured? Can Santa Claus, did you cut Santa Claus? Oh, girl, sis, you in trouble. You hooked Santa Claus? You know how many millions of dollars are spent for Santa Claus every year? Oh, you're really in trouble. And you take that serious, you just waived your rights. Do you understand? That's exactly what they do when they give you a ticket. They accused you of injuring an artificial corporation that was created in 1944 by European corporate heads that you are no part of anyhow, and said you was traveling through their papers.
So if I find one on my windshield, should I request to go into the courtroom? I mean, because you have the option just write a check, get rid of it, or
No,
whatever.
what you can do, this is two things. I suggest that you study. But if you're talking about rescinding it, what you can do is you take that and you make a copy of it, right? And then you send in a document to the courtroom rescinding any benefit from their private law paper corporation. And always declare yourself the natural person, i.e., you can write on there, because usually they'll send you some kind of correspondence. And when you get that correspondence, you'll see written in all capital letters to the corporation that they're writing to. It's just that the corporate name sounds phonetically like your name, but it's actually a private corporation. Now, how you respond to that, whether you claim it as mine, like we're saying mine, if you claim it as yours, then you claim it to be a corporation, now you're obligated. You can actually send it back to them, but I suggest because they deal with color law, because they're organized criminals. So you always respond to them with legal processes. So I suggest, if you're willing to go that way, that you write to them rescission to that, and that you reserve all your rights as a natural person, and that the judge and the courts are bound to uphold the Constitution and not some foreign jurisdiction. However, if there is an obligation or some criminal act that took place, I'm waiting for my indictment papers, which I have not received yet, for whatever claims may be made by some persons claimed being party to the matter. And after 10 days, if I don't receive them, I'll consider this null and void, as you should too, etc., and put that in the mail and certified. And then if they act on it, now you can sue them. But try to keep things in paper. Limit your conversations with them. But understand that a traffic ticket is a suit. And due to the fact that it's a suit, and they're claiming or threatening your liberties and specific performance on your part and finance from you, then you have a right to a trial by jury, anything over $20. So demand it. And then ask them, say, if you proceed with this matter, I do not waive my rights at any time under any conditions, and command the judge of this court at all times to uphold his or her constitutional obligation, i.e., have her forward you a copy of the oath, all that stuff. For the record. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I preserve all my rights, and I command that you preserve my rights and protect me from any callable procedures. And anything to the contrary, you will be held responsible as an individual to your subordinates, means they're all officers of the courts. Now, what you're doing is you're setting them up for suits by writing like this. And it does not really have to be deep and long, just holding to the principles. And if they proceed against you and cause injury, sue them and put liens on them. And any time that they hold you up, if they hold you, write them a bill for your time, the same way the Bar Association does. And if they don't pay it, you put a lien against them and sue them. I'm serious. Just like they do to you. And start coursing them every time they mess with you. And make arbitrary bills just like they do. Because their rights as a private corporation do not supersede the rights of the people. And under color of law, they're denying you due process. Therefore, those tickets are still not prosecutable. And for them to proceed on them is a deliberate tort on their part. Under color of law, Title 18, United States law. So Title 18, you'll know, but I'm just saying Title 18, when you go to the law library, look up Title 18. They'll try to trick you with Title 42 because they deal with a lot of colorable things under Title 42, but that comes under the 14th Amendment person. So be careful how you deal with that. You understand what I'm saying? So when you go to court for a ticket, understand that they're suing you and command due process. And they start saying, well, brother, you know, what you was doing, you see you parked this too close to the wall right there, you know, and so we gave you a ticket for that way. So, oh, I don't have any indictment papers. Who's the injured party? Well, you can't go, yes, I don't waive any of my rights. Due process, look around, and they say, well, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a jury of my own national peers. Is anybody here got nationality cards? Because if anybody ain't got no nationality cards, they don't have no authority to execute the United States law. See how simple that is? But you need to say it. But you need to know it to say it. But I'm saying, but you need to say it. But Moors know it and don't say it. And say, oh, I want to copy the transcripts. Oh, traffic court don't have transcripts. Oh, so you're denying due process. Oh, you all are really trying to hurt me here. I mean, do you see how? What I'm saying to you, I'm revealing concepts. If you understand concepts, you understand the law. It's really simple. You must understand what birthright is. What I'm talking is birthright. Governments are in place to preserve your birthrights, not to abridge them. They don't give them. They preserve them. And when they don't, they're criminals. That's why they ask you to, you know, cheese sandwiches on Thursdays. It's not right. Do you understand? I said, no, not really. Can you explain that? Well, you know, the statute says that this, that, and so, oh. Which section of the Constitution is that in? Would you take your oath on something else that I don't know about? Because I don't see that part in the Constitution. Because all other rights revert back to the people. And I reserve mine, and I'm just coming up with stuff that I ain't never heard of this stuff. You get the point? Then he gets pissed. See, but you got to know what you're doing. Simply know the Constitution. That's why Drew Ali say enforce the Constitution, because that's how they're bridging you. By getting you on subject matters that have nothing to do with where they have any jurisdictional authority whatsoever. Islam. No, they do know. You don't know. What is it that our people don't know? The truth about their nationality and their birthrights. Therefore, they don't recognize the relationship of due process of law. Islam, brother.
Islam. Have the traders changed anything on our nationality card to make it null and void? Like at the bottom it says, I am a citizen of the U.S.A.
Unity, salvation, Allah. Okay. Yes, you are. Okay. But you must know what you're reading.
Islam.
Don't assume things. Islam. Mm-hmm. That's what USA is on that nationality card. Unity, salvation, Allah. Now, can Negroes, blacks, coloreds, or whites be citizens of any nation? Is there any white nation on the planet? Any black nation on the planet? Any colored nation on the planet? Colordinia, Negro-Otia. Doesn't exist. So see, the deal is, when you recognize what you have on your nationality card, what you must remember that from a law position, in order for someone to have a legitimate and movable issue with you at law, they must present themselves too. Did you demand it?
In other words, just like the brother say, yours for mine.
See, so what we start doing, well, you're not supposed to do this because no. Who are you? I'm really confused. For the record, I know you. You look Irish. Are you Irish? No, I'm American. Oh, Argentinian. No, I'm from here. Oh, Mexico. You see, they want to play with you, you play with them. But do it intelligently. In other words, make them identify the jurisdiction that they're claiming authority in before you allow them to proceed with you in any matter. If you do allow them to proceed without identifying the political jurisdiction to which they are lawfully attached and have delegation of authority order to operate in, then you've just waived your rights. All right, we clear on that? So from your protocols of liberty, when you're dealing with these aliens, you forget those processes in principle, and guess what they're getting ready to do?
There you go.
And they will go to the Poconos this summer. And they always do it. And we keep feeding it. It's Islam, and him and then you, brother. Islam.
Yeah. Now, see, like, even when we're dealing with these organized criminals, you've been before the courts, I've been before the courts, dealing with them on different issues. It's like some of the newer people that may be going through the process, just going to court, seeing the sheriff with the guns, other people getting locked up, took out the courts. It's very intimidating for people.
It's intimidating. I'll tell you this. How many of our people have died in wars?
Thousands, hundreds of thousands.
How many people are in war now, fighting to keep this European in power?
Millions of them, a whole bunch of them.
Now, show me the Asiatic from any other part of the world that lynched us.
Say it again.
Show me in evidence, enter into evidence in our conversation, the Asiatic from any of the countries that these Asiatics been going to that's lynched us or stood before the school to block our children from school or blew up some churches or mosques or some synagogues
I don't know none of them.
or hung us or dragged us down the street or tried to beat us to
I
China.
don't know none of them.
Now, so if a person does not have the courage to stand up for the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, to which these people took an oath and are bound, and you're not willing to stand up for it, then you don't deserve to be free.
Yeah,
Because that's a supreme coward.
no,
No.
that's right. You're right. But
No, and so what I'm saying to you-
exactly. I'm agreeing with you. I understand.
It
that.
needs to be said to them. This is the key. The key is that people who know, who have this information, need to present these arguments publicly so that people can take these things into consideration and consider their affairs. Because reflection is the business of man.
That's right.
It is their responsibility. And if you have this knowledge and don't give that to them to reflect upon, they get caught in their emotionalisms and are subject to the Christian black codes, which is what the problem is.
Right.
Is that have not been presented with a logical argument. Drew Ali brought the logical argument. But it's for those who know law.
Yeah, but see, one of the things I got is, I went through there. I'll fight him today. I teach, I show it, try to explain the stuff to people, but then it's always the same thing. When you run up against them and you see the guns and all that, it's like it's a deterrent.
What do you do? This is what you do. In an intelligent tone, if you know the truth about your nationality and birthrights, when you go before the tribunal, you say what? For the record. And you put it on the record. You don't sit and try to say, well, you know what's right and you've got to, don't go there. You make all processes that they process you in under color, you make it de jure no matter what they do. Meaning that they can say anything they want to say. You declare your nationality. They can say anything. The declaration of your nationality is not just saying, I am Moorish American. The declaration of your nationality is the enforcement of this Constitution in all aspects relative to the preservation of inalienable rights which are written into that Republican form of government. Violate it, they violate you, you've just waived. You don't violate it, no matter what they do. So they can sit up there with cannons, and you stand for the truth.
But does it come a time when we grab our cannons is what I'm trying to really
No. Your cannon is the truth. Your cannon is, you know what, let me come at you again. You know where the weakness is with us? Huh? Moors become conscious and have forgot that this is a Moorish divine and national movement. It's divine and it's national. And if they don't activate it, it is power neutralized not by him because he got a gun, by us because we're inactive. Are we clear? Don't confuse our inactivity and them taking advantage of our inactivity with them doing stuff to us that has power. They're not really the same. Abandonment and the relinquishment of power that's activated is not them having power that's superior to what is right or what is law. It is more our abandonment. And one of the deals is that the people don't understand recourse and remedy as principle. And they're not taught these things because they're not taught national principles. But once they understand national principles, they'll understand these processes that are taking place. They'll recognize immediately when they're violated. And they will say, ups, objection. And just say, well, wait a minute, we got to deal up. Objection. Yeah, but you know, we really, no peanut butter sandwiches. And if we don't object, they keep proceeding. And we must have the courage to stand up for the nationality and birthright. And some people are not worthy, so some people ain't going to stand for the truth. But you must teach it to the children. Give them a chance.
Right. I'd like to say one example for you. I'm in court. Well, the United States Constitution says about, you mention that Constitution one more time in here, I'm locking your butt up. The United States Constitution says this. Shame on out of here.
Now what would you say under those circumstances?
What you mean?
What would you say when they said that? What did he just say for the record?
He gonna lock me up, basically, if I mention.
Oh, and that's what you heard.
Right?
No, you see what you heard?
If you say Constitution.
No, this is what you say. Excuse me. You say, Judge Bas Natzendorf. Oh. Can you say that again for the record? Because that was very impactful. You see, if I mention the Constitution for the record, witnesses, if I mention the Constitution in this courtroom, you're going to lock me up. What did the Supreme Court say relative to any court that supersedes its jurisdiction? I'm asking you that.
Null and void, basically.
Yes, but what did the Supreme Court of the United States say relative to any court official or officers who supersede their jurisdiction?
That's criminal. That's criminal.
Well, then what are you going to do when he said that to you? What did you do afterwards? Did you file any charges against him?
I filed charges.
I'm asking you a question.
No, I didn't.
Oh, so then, therefore, you did what? You waived your rights, didn't you?
No, but I'm reading.
No.
You're right. I know that.
Don't skip around.
I understand that, but I'm saying the reason I'm saying is because so many of us going before them, and this is what happened. Then we wind up getting
Now back to what is the chairman and assistant? Grand Chief, what are they in power for? And what does the assistant Grand Chief do relative to the Grand Chief? So now what occurs if we don't follow through with what Raleigh says? And we're battling as individuals instead of a nation. What have I been saying from day one for the last 20 years for Moors to do? Class action suits. Knowing that they're not going to do it if they lack knowledge, which is why we put information out. Because without knowledge, they're not going to do anything. But with knowledge, they begin to recognize there is remedy. But then if they don't have the courage to use it, we're fighting as individuals. And they'll use Negro money to fight you forever. So if you don't go help redeem your people, what are they successfully doing? Using you against each other? So what do? Back to what you were saying. You know, I tried to tell them, you know, that sandwiches aren't good on Thursdays. And I try to explain to them, you don't try to explain anything. What did Noble Raleigh say? In order to change the people, you must change their literature. Then he started the Moorish Guide. Well, where is it?
Very hard to find.
No, because it ain't happening. Who did that? Some Europeans? Oh. So we got work to do. That's all. We don't need to get mad. To get active. We're paying the price for not carrying out the prophet's instruction. We're paying the price for leaving this movement conceptually as some kind of religious ritualism, which it never was. This is a divine and national movement for the protections of your birthrights and to teach you those principles necessary to make you better citizens and to enforce the Constitution of this said government. And if you don't do those things, which we have not done, is why those statements are coming from you right now. Now, so we're here to start doing what? Correcting our violations against ourselves. And we're doing it with what? Knowledge, not emotionalisms. Therefore, the Moors must begin to understand processes of how these things are done in order for them to counter them. You can't go on emotionalism. You got to understand what they're doing so that you can understand what you are to do with what you already have that you didn't know you even had, i.e. that power of that nationality card. Introducing evidence, mine for yours, like you said. Judge starts saying, well, I'm the judge of evil fetcher of the court of common stuff. Oh, yeah? Introducing into evidence, proof, positive. Because I think you're really trying to hurt me. You're trying to take my lunch money. For real. So since you have an obligation to preserve my rights, I command that you enter into evidence that that's what you're doing. Well, you know, you got to talk to the prosecutor. Well, why was you prosecuting from the bench? You was the ones that's attacking me. Scared of you. You understand? Once your concepts are right, you start putting things in order. And remember, you're not asking them to do anything. They're already obligated. The problem is that you didn't know it because we're busy thinking about beliefs. This man don't care whether you're Muslim, Christian, or Jew. He's dealing with processes under law, and either you're in the law or you're out of it. Deal is they've been out of it because you've been out of it. And they only getting away with being out of it because you're out of order. We're so busy trying to be somebody we're not that they're governing under somebody that we're not. And they made rules to deal with it. You see where I'm coming from? So we must conceptually understand that they're dealing with foreign law because we're allowing ourselves to be listed as foreigners. Negro, black, and colored are not a part of any government, period. And so you have a whole body of people that are transacting business, buying and selling in alien names, which makes them fraudulent or colored in the first place from a legal perspective, not from a belief perspective. We take up space, we make babies, don't we? Some got to govern them. You can't govern them with true law because they ain't true people. I mean, you see this how serious that matter is? So are they going to teach you, or are they going to recognize that you're an economic opportunity and base? You see what I'm trying to say? And so they make up commercial regulations and codes to deal with the commercialized people, i.e. colored people. Ignorant people think colored people is a complexion. Those who know law know that colored people is a status of artificiality. But since you know that, you're supposed to repent from that sin. And sin is ignorance, and ignorance is sin. And when you know that, you are to do what? To correct your, what? Sinful ways. For the record, we're in a club. We're all brothers and sisters. So we're in the club. Well, we're all members of the Moorish Science Temple, and we got this going on. And no, that's not what this movement is about. This is a national movement. The nation is out there. The only reason you're here is your job is to go redeem them. And if you don't, guess what? That's why we're having this discussion. Because it ain't supposed to be happening to us. This was supposed to be resolved generations ago. But no one challenged the sellouts. They just talked about them. You get the point? Didn't mean they didn't have their effect. So if you know the truth about your nationality and birthright, you also know the truth about his. You see? So if you know yourself, you can know others. And if you doubt it, all you got to use the science of your Circle 7 and study yourselves. Now you already know that he already knows the date that you came out your mother's womb, and he's going to approach you on a down cycle when he called you to court anyway. So since you know that, you're going to prepare yourself to counter them, aren't you? So this is really all it is studying. Study yourself and study them. And start dealing with them accordingly, intelligently. I.e., governing yourselves. Putting your house in order. In my Father's house there are many mansions. And all these is houses. In that circle. He's dealing with it. That's why he got you under the thumb. We ain't been dealing with it. That's why he got us under the thumb. We sitting around dealing with emotionalisms and beliefs, and they dealing with science. Your science. Trading places with you. And that's basically all they've done. And if we would, say on a level or lower level, if we would have faith in what the prophet brought us and actually use it and stop repeating like Paul parrots, well, the prophet said this and the prophet said that. Break that stuff down, every bit of it. Break it down to common denominators, logistically, and then put it back together. And understand that it has a function. It's not something for you to repeat because it sounds good. It has a function in society, an effective function. And don't apply it and suffer the consequences. And this is really, again, redundantly why we're here, why I'm even dealing with the subject matter of the fraud of driver's license, because people don't know the instrument that it actually is, how devastating it really is. And why they're really using it. And so, most people don't even know the driver's license applied to the people as a war tool. It's a contract that they trick you into cooperating with. And then, under law, they will tell you it's not a contract. And it absolutely is. And they sue you for breaching it. But they never present the breach. They'll present a violation of a code, of a driver's code, section this, section that, without due process. And what you should command, I ain't even arguing. You don't even argue the substance. Ask them to introduce in the evidence the injured party. You want to face the injured party, prove the injury, prove that they have authority, prove that they're citizens of the United States, and you don't want to say nothing. Enter it into evidence. Because right now you look like a foreign European. I think you're French. Let me see that name. And remember, and whenever you're dealing with courts, always do the research on whatever judges there are and look up their family name, trace it to their nation, and then bring that constitution to the courtroom. As soon as they start talking, aren't you Irish? Let's see, Judge Wiskowski-Dorf. You German, French, or what? Oh, I have a German constitution here. How did you gain authority in the United States Republic? Oh, this is democracy. Oh, apparently I'm in the wrong court. I mean, you see how simple that is? All right, we got 10 more minutes. Now, any questions, pertinent questions relative to the fraud of the driver's license? Do you have a law book with you?
Yes.
For the brothers and sisters, read in propria persona juris. Islam, Grand Sheikh. Yes. Come on, up here, because I want you to.
Well, I want you to elaborate a little bit on motor vehicle and their delegation of authority, and why most people unconsciously go to motor vehicle to think that they need to travel upon the highways. They go to motor vehicle, which is claimed to be a competent authority, to give them a so-called privilege to travel upon the highway. I just want you to touch a little bit on who motor vehicle actually is and what branch of government are they.
Motor vehicle is not a part of a branch of any of the branches of government. Motor vehicle is a private corporation that uses intimidation. They're organized criminals, faking as government, that say that you need something, and they have a franchise from the corporate state to do those activities so that you don't go directly to them for practicing slavery. It's actually a traveling passport. And what they do is tell you that you need to do this at law. And then when you make the contract, they use the contract as liens against you from day one. What they do is steal your right of travel on the land, transfer it into travel on paper, and then charge you with violation traveling on paper as if they have authority of you traveling on the land, which they have no authority whatsoever. What they really have is you waiving your rights, giving it to them as a private corporation to sell your rights to you as a corporate entity. Is there anything you want to add to that?
So when you get a driver's license, you just waived your free right to travel on land.
That's automatically with you.
Well, answer this question. What does the word license mean? Privilege. Exactly. Just
It's
like
a privilege permit. Now, you must understand again what a license is. A license is a privilege permit for transference and transference of goods from one place to another. Manufactured goods, goods of manufacturer, dealing with the privilege of corporate activity. Are we clear? That's what a license is. And mainly for imported goods that come into the post of a prince or the port of a prince. That is what it is. It is not other than that. When you start adding other than that, you are false and they're false. And what they've done is they listed you as Negroes, blacks, and colors as corporations and list you as foreigners. And that your working is a corporate activity for capital gains. And under capital gains profit, it comes under Excise Tax Act of corporate return profitability. And so any wage, any labors that you execute is listed as corporate benefit property, and therefore by you being Smith, Jones, and Johnson, it automatically puts you as a ward of the state so they can impose upon you that license in the first place. Then they adhere that to insurance contracts and a whole bunch of other contracts which government was never given authority to institute. And this is how they enslave you.
And then we pay every 4 years.
Exactly. You're actually paying a foreigner. You're actually paying a foreign European who you keep calling white and claiming him to be the sovereign of the land, which he's actually a foreigner, who lists you as a foreigner and then lists you as corporation under his name because you've been using his name and you ain't gave it back to them, which makes you legally bound to them. We're talking legal now.
Yep. We pay.
And then you made a contract of moving or driving in this artificiality. And they constantly charge you or make up laws to actually extort from you on a consistent basis. And when you don't pay them, they take back their property, which you turn around and list it and register to them in the first place.
Yeah, I'm in a situation. So I need that license to work for them. So how would I address?
You preserve your rights without prejudice.
And okay, but shouldn't I also go back and give the contract that I initially made with them?
This is what I suggest to you. Do your research on when driving came into being and the codes came into being. And you will see that those codes are relegated to commercial activity only. Again, under corporate activity and dealing with vehicles that have a gross weight of over roughly around 8,000 pounds or more, and does not even deal with common cars. You don't even have to call it conveyance. Private vehicles are not even lawfully included. You can beat them with their own law, fake as it is. But the deal of it is, by most people not being in their proper person, they can't fight it anyway, because they can't speak in a courtroom.
Also, Brother Alex, on that, what part of international law, where under international law does a driver's license come into play at? That's the question.
The question to you.
Okay, being that you're a Moorish American and you're part of a nation, and you have a nationality card, don't you have the right to contract in your own land? Yes. Okay, so being that you're part of a nation and you have international delegation of authority, birthright inheritance, why do you need a privilege to contract in your own land?
Yes.
Okay, like I said,
Yes.
for the city bus company, right? Like, they set their own rules and regulations as far as people working for them or contracting with them. So they
Remember their corporate rules and policy. This is what you keep forgetting. And this is what all Moors must remember, because we've got to get ready to close out because other people are coming in. And he wants to make announcements too. Remember, when you're dealing with any government agency, any government body or pseudo-government agency, they are all obligated to that Constitution. Your problem, when I say you, I'm talking about us plurally, we keep forgetting that. And we stop holding them to that. We start talking about their private law policy as the law. Stop talking about their policies as the law. What did you just declare? When you declared their policies as the law, you just waived the Constitution. And so when you start talking about their policies are not the law. Don't give it the credibility of law. Command the enforcement of the Constitution at all times with them. And when you say, well, you had to do this, well, guess what you just did? You do it under threat, duress, and coercion, and you put those initials on that certificate. And then when they come up with you trying to make demands on you, as a matter of fact, what you do is give them an IOU when you go to pay for it, too. Are we clear? See, the deal is that we have to start costing them energy when they start operating colorably, because they are colored. The deal is Moors have got to start costing them to mess with us. What we must learn is the methods to do it. And that's what we're teaching. But you need to understand the instruments you're dealing with in order to counter them. So anyway, so when you go into courtrooms, you never go into courtroom. You say, the person must do this and this person. So for the record, natural person may, I received this instrument in the mail, and it says there, Wiebel, Fetzer, Johnson, Fredericks, Oswaldorf guy. Sounds like, phonetically, it sounds like my name, but of course it's not. And for the record, this corporation is not me. So I came here anyway because I know certain Klan members have a tendency to attack people on the street. And so I came here under threat, duress, and coercion under special appearance to answer relative to this under special appearance, so no assumptions of jurisdiction are made without me contesting some fraudulent jurisdiction. Are you aware of that, Judge? You know. So I want that for the record. And so if it's any future correspondence with me, can you see that your private corporation corrects this so they don't assume that I'm some corporation because I'm a natural person, for the record? And I have a nationality card, and whoever sent this, and I see his clerk, Bas Notzeldorf, Frederick's guy right here. Say they sent this specific performance, and I want to make a note for the county clerk that this is a fraudulent instrument, and I'll expect no more of these in the mail. And if they come, I'll expect them, and I'm saying it for the record, that's an attempt to extort from me or to intimidate me under color of law. And Judge, you have an obligation to see that doesn't take place in the future. Can you take care of that, please? You know, and that's how you come with them. And no matter what they do, you come at them like that. So if they act, guess what? The ultra-virus statute no longer protects them. Then when his wife goes to the Mac machine and starts sticking stuff in, this Mac machine starts going, oh, excuse me. Then she go home and say, he's really messing up my stuff. I mean, what's going on, Fred? And Fred go down and see he's got this lien against them. They can't sell their house. They can't do stuff. Now they're upset because you ain't supposed to do that to them. They're supposed to do it to you. Now it ain't so comfortable to keep writing these Morris tickets, is it? Meanwhile, while they held you up, you sent them a bill. So they get a bill to the law department. And you're commanding payment in lawful United States currency. Then you start issuing liquidations on them. Garnish their pay and all that kind of stuff. They will not be happy campers. I guarantee you that. But the deal is Moors have got to learn to do this on a massive scale. And so what we're going to concentrate on doing in the future is getting such information out that gives you processes, gives you a knowledge of processes. Sis?
Okay. Peace. Peace. Okay.
Can they make announcements, please?
Peace. Can we give Brother Taj a round of a hand? That's a lot of energy right there. Peace. Yes, I'm Sabir Bey. I don't know. Did everybody get one of these brochures? Everybody, you ain't get one, brother? All right, get you one. This is a radio show that airs every Friday, and everything that Taj is talking about is being heard from Sister Roz. She's a host. Come on, Sister Roz. Come on up here. She's a host of the Civil Alert, which I have founded in 2002 to bring basically awareness to the factors of law. So I established the paper, then I started the radio show about 5 months ago, and I brought Sister Roz on as a host, and Brother El Shafiq, which is not here right now. Very good brother, too. And if you tune in, I'm going to tell you the show is very, very good. And let me get these call-out numbers just for the people that's on the tape, too. And it's a brother that's back there. Brother that didn't get the brochure? You too? All right. Let me give out these call numbers also. And it's also in PA, Philadelphia, and Delaware. These are the areas that are stretched to Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania suburbs. And in Philadelphia, the Pennsylvania area is 215-634-8065. And then it's a toll-free number also. If it's somebody you want to call from New York and just sit on the phone and listen, it's 866-361-0900.
Yes.
That's 866-361-0900.
You got that?
Yes.
I want to make one more announcement after you finish.
Okay, Taj is going to make an announcement, but I want to make one real quick, please, before everybody leaves. We have two sisters that need a ride to the 10th Street station, 10th and Market. Okay.
One more point, Moors. As we understand, yes, the National Guard, this is purported. The confirmation will be made, confirmed about November the 1st, that the United States will come under martial law in order to stop the elections.
Monday, November 1st.
Now, the deal is, you should be aware of it in case it takes place, because they're going to do it to stop the elections. You know, Bush, and they're going to do it under emergency powers. And you know, the U.S. is already under martial law. It's just not publicly declared. It's been that way since '33. You know, but the deal is, so be prepared for it. And I would suggest anybody that's not national better hit the closest Moorish Science Temple as quick as possible.
Absolutely.
And for the conscious Moors, we're going to have to get some serious activity going on. Because what they're trying to do, because people are waking up all over the country, and they're going to try to stagnate this thing. Do you understand? Drew Ali is back on the front burner. Don't worry about what you ain't heard. Believe me, Drew Ali is on the front burner across the planet. And this man, these Romans have no intentions of giving up power. They're going to collapse anyway. But the point of it is be aware that they're going to be doing things politically to counter this movement. But remember that your brothers and sisters out there are Moors. I don't care what they've been calling themselves. So don't look at yourselves as Moors just because you're wearing turbans and fezzes and think that that will make you a Moor. That does not make you a Moor. Your bloodline makes you a Moor. Your political allegiance makes you a Moor. Are you clear? And take every opportunity to wake these brothers and sisters up because they have no idea what's getting ready to come down the pike. And you already know Rex 84, actually the so-called Homeland Security is an extension of the Rex 84 plan and the King Alfred plan. They're all relative. And so if they announce martial law by November the 1st in order to stop elections, you already know what it's for. It's an extension of the King Alfred. So look for more doo-doo to come.
But what will actually occur, or what will the masses go through as a result of them announcing martial law on November 1st?
They're going to cancel the elections.
Or basically they're going to cancel them. There's not going to be
under emergency powers.
So he'll be named then.
Oh yeah, under emergency powers. They already know they're going to lose. So unless certain activities take place amongst the citizens themselves to put this in check, that's what their plan is. So just be aware. But I'm reminding Moors again, you better start getting active and stop being passive. And the other thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that all Moor science temples in North America start becoming politically active on constitutional principles. Because that's the job of the temples. And we're going to need that unity to protect ourselves. So keep that in mind, Moors.
And all the
Islam, Moors,
Islam.
Give honor to our prophet and all the great works they've brought to us, and all the mothers in the house. Thank you for bringing us here. Trust we can do some good for the children. Trust we can turn this thing around. Have a greater respect for womanhood. Raise the nation. The nation is out there. Peace.
And the previous shows can be picked up by me, Sabir, and everybody has my number out there. It's in the back of the head, my contact number. But actually, for the tape, I want to put it out here also. It's 267.
Real quick, so that we're not held up. Give me.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the previous shows can be picked up by me at 267-918-5538. And most of y'all have the brochures. You have the brochures?
Yeah.
Islam.
Put them in rubber bands and drop them in there. I just want to leave out each